Thank you, Maya Northfleet, for that report. Now, here's one other way, as we continue to draw on this research, just one more time here. Another way that this breaks down, students with disabilities in the state of Missouri, when we're talking about elementary students, about 3.5% versus 5.5%, and then in the high school level, 9+% versus 17% suspension rates. So another way that this topic breaks down, in addition to the LGBT issues and racial issues we have discussed so far. I want to go back to the Twitter chat we had earlier this week. The STO changed, that's the Ferguson Commission. They're recommending that students 3rd grade and under not be suspended. We asked folks if they agreed or disagreed. We got a 50-50 split there, so I'll put it to the panel here. 3rd grade and under, maybe we start with the research that you've done, Norman. Would you say just eliminate them altogether for 3rd grade and under suspensions?
Casey, I think that they need to be eliminated. I think that they need to find solutions to help those kids who are having those problems at that early age. Again, for me, it's an equity issue. If you under-resource schools, if you don't put sufficient staff in the building to help the teachers to do their job, I'm not sure who we blame for that. You know, often people want to blame the schools, they want to blame the teachers. I think that there's enough blame to go around, and we need to start thinking in that way.
Thoughts on 3rd grade? Is that something that the Ferguson Commission recommends?
Casey, what I would say is that the consequence needs to change the behavior. And so when you see the suspension that happens over and over and over again, is it really changing the behavior? If it's not changing the student's behavior, then what is the need for the suspension?
What kind of I would be curious to find out what kind of infraction it was. If it was a non-violent type of a situation, and maybe a situation where a teacher were to feel as if the kid were being insubordinate, teachers need to be trained on how to de-escalate certain behaviors so that kids don't escalate themselves in those situations. Kids know when teachers care. And teachers who are equipped with those skills to show that they care when they deliver their message tend to get really, really good results. But for those teachers who don't know how to relate and they send the wrong vibe, kids pick up on that energy and they go the other way, and they don't have a problem with failing themselves for as long as it means they prove to the teacher that they understand the fact that they're not being supported. So they'll fail to prove their message, and unfortunately we see that too often.
Karen, as we're getting down to the last couple of minutes that we have here tonight, what should we be doing when the problem can look, I'm guessing, very different between different school districts?
It can, and it concerns me when we make blanket statements about what should be done for children. You know what, every situation for families are different, and we haven't even talked about bringing parents into the conversation and partnering with parents and creating real, authentic, caring relationships with our parents. It's not just the schools. We have to have parents in there and have them accountable, and if they need support, how can we support them? And in some cases, it's educating them. So, moving forward, I don't want us to take the other end of the spectrum where we had zero tolerance. And that's where a lot of the poor choices were made with over-disciplining students. And it was a certain population of students.
Could zero tolerance not maybe, or do some people think that zero tolerance could actually take some of that bias out if every student is treated in a set way?
The bias is within the person who has the power to discipline the child, regardless. And so we need to look at the educators and their understanding. And resources are huge. We need to be able to say, okay, what implicit biases are we responsible for when we engage in a situation where we have to discipline a child? Are we truly being equitable? And paying attention to the antecedents before the behavior. What other layers are happening here that created this situation? So we need to train, just like my colleagues here at the table have said, and I don't want to represent that. It's incredibly important that we support our educators with having an understanding of how do we help students before we give this consequence or we suspend a student, because that is your end result. there's so much that's happening prior to you giving discipline to a student.
So I had 5 pages of questions. I don't think we made it through one. We're out of time. But the good news is Monday night, 7 o'clock, Monday the 9th at 7 o'clock. Suspended Futures, the school discipline debate. Thank you all for your time. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks.
Thank you.